Hey guys, it is Carl Brown for GuitarLessons365.com. Well, it's about time. I've been getting this request for Dream No More by Metallica for quite off the Hardwired to Self-Destruct album. So this is probably of the Metallica tracks that I have left to do, which I've done over 60 at this point. This is probably the most requested one. So we're gonna do this one today. Whole thing, all the rhythm guitar parts, all the lead guitar parts, all the harmony guitar parts. You know, it's standard Metallica. And whenever they go in D standard, you know the song's gonna slap. You know how it works with Metallica. This is no different. It's got some really fun riffs in this one. So now, before I get into it, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Ring the bell and all that good junk. And please, if you really want to support what I do here on YouTube, it's the perfect time to do it. I got a sale going on. Actually, you have a YouTube fan link here for my academy, which is here all the time, year round. So it's only like YouTube fan only pricing. So that's going to give you membership, a very cheap year-long, it's like a 40 or 50% discount. I forget. My brain is fried at this point. But it gives you full access to all my courses. I got courses for complete beginners to courses for more advanced players in technique, improvisation, ear training, theory, guitar tone, everything. So it's all there. I go live every weekend, just like a live stream with Academy members. You get personalized support from me beyond that. So please go check it out. Free 7-day trial if you've never had an account. All right, let's jump into the track. So as I mentioned before, I'm in D standard here. So that means every string on the guitar is tuned down a whole step. So your low E string is tuned down to a D. The A string is tuned down to a G. The D string is tuned down to a C. The G string tuned down to an F. B string tuned down to an A. And the E string tuned down to a D. All right, so the intro, we have a couple things going on in this intro. So we have James starting some basic power chord stuff. Looks like this. So we're gonna just play. All right, you can hit these. James is hitting them with upstrokes on. You can play them either way, it sounds great. So you can play, it's 3-2-1 power chord, just so. By the way, I'm gonna call these strings like they're standard tuning strings. So this is an E string for this lesson, E, A, D, G, B, E. We do not do the retune throughout the lesson. So it's tuned to D standard, obviously. We know it sounds a whole step lower, but we're gonna still kind of talk about it as it's in E standard. So we're gonna start with this power chord here, off the low E string, 3rd fret, 2nd fret, 1st fret. Then jump up to the 6th fret, hit it 3 times. And then a couple hits on the 5th fret power chord. Try this. Then you go back, 3, 2, and the second time around, instead of going down to 1, you're gonna go up to the 5th fret. And then we kind of start all that over again. All right, so the second time that you move up to the 5th fret there, when you repeated the riff, you're gonna stay there and you're gonna do this to end the riff. And then you do that ending. So we end up getting to that same ending we did the first time in the riff, but we have this little extension added to it. So what that is, after we're at the 5th fret here, we're just gonna stay there and then hit it 3 sets of 2. And then up to the 6th fret there, and then 1, 2, 3, and that same ending as before. All right, so that's what James is doing. Now, Kirk is adding some octaves. So after you go through the riff one time, the second time we're gonna have octaves play with it. So they'll play the same thing at the beginning, and then when the octaves come in, you're gonna see Kirk come in and start doing this. right, so those octaves, so you can put 10th fret there on the A, 12th on the G. So mute all the strings around it. Just kind of strumming those octaves, then down to 9, then 8. And then you can come back and grab that if you want, but I don't even know if he does live, but might as well. He stops playing. So, and then we go back, start again. 10, 9 octave, then up to 12. And then, all right, so that's it for the intro. And then we get to this main riff that's, I guess it's the main, yes, it's the main riff. Anyway, looks like this. All right, so that's gonna start. So you have the low E ringing the whole time, and you're gonna hammer 5 to 7 on the A. So hit those two together. Starts with a 0, 5, and then hammer on to the 7 on the A. Then you're gonna pick those two strings there 3 times. Do that again. Actually, the second time, after that hammer off, just gonna hit it twice for this. And then we go up and do that little ending thing. So it's the 5th fret there on the D. And then quickly hitting the 6th fret there on the low E string, some heavy vibrato one as well. Then you start the riff again. Except that little 2-note lick at the end is slightly different. Instead of going 5 on the D to 6 on the low E, it's just 5 on the low E string, and then up to that 6, same 6 with the vibrato on it. So we have this, sorry. Just like that. So far we have this. Then you repeat again back to that first ending. So we have this all together. And then that same ending that we had in the intro, that's kind of, you're gonna hear this a lot in the zone. It's kind of always like a transition back to a riff or back to a different section. So it's just that. And then you go back into the riff again. End it with that E power chord. Then there's a little pause, quick E hit, muted E5 hit again right before the verse. And then we have the verse. Once again, there's Kirk and James are doing slightly different things here. But it looks like this. All right, so a little bit slightly different thing. I'll show you what Kirk's doing in a second. So what's going on there? We're kind of, so we have this melody going here on the A string. So we'll talk about that first. We're gonna hammer from 5 to 7 on the A. Then play 5, 7, 5 on the A. So you do that with the low E in it. And then 2 heavily palm it on the open E string. So then you do it again. And you kind of come in with this chord, which is the 5th fret there across the low E and the A. So we have this. nice and sludgy. And then we do it again. So kind of the second ending though is, for James at least, is it comes up and grabs that 6th fret power chord off the low E, and then the 5th fret. So the difference between what James and Kirk are doing is just like while James is doing this, Kirk is up here playing octaves up here of this. So that's the octave at the 13th fret of the A string, so that 15th fret there on the G, and then take it down a fret. So it is. So it kind of jumps into that too. Kind of forgot that part. So we have this. And then it goes back. So that's all they're doing. They're just, when James is doing this, Kirk is doing this. And everything else, they're playing the same in the riff there. All right, and then we get to the pre-chorus riff. This one's kind of fun because it's got some overdubs in it. But you can kind of do them. So James is going to be holding the chords mostly. I hope you're doing some of the scrapes and slides. But there's this cool dive harmonic that happens in the middle of it, which I think I can hear it live, so it might just be Kirk does it live. But I'll do it without that harmonic dive in this, but we'll do the other stuff. And then I'll show you how to do the harmonic stuff too if you have a second guitarist in your band. So it looks like this, the pre-chorus. All right, so that kind of really, you hit the E power chord, and then the 3rd fret there on the low E. Kind of do that a couple times. Then the open E again. Power chord a couple times to the 5th fret. Back to the open E, and then 5th fret power chord again. Up to the 6th fret a couple times. So it is. So when you get there, you hold that, and then this is when you hear all those little things going on. So it kind of, the first time you hit, and you hear kind of a pick scrape there. Second time through, it's more of a slide. Third time through, it's kind of like a bar dive, these harmonics. And you gotta play them you gotta do it right there. It's like, I'm just grabbing the 14th fret across the G and the B. It's got a harmonic there. And then a little bar dive and then back. And then, all right, so all together. All right, now to the chorus. All right, so some heavy chugging here. Here we go. Back to the main riff. So we're gonna chuck it on the low E power chord. And then we go up here. So that's the 7th fret across the A and the D string. And then down to 6 on the A and the D. And kind of slide off of it. Back to the low E5 power chord, chugging on that. So this. And then we're gonna do the same chords here, but in reverse. So we're going to play the 6th fret across the A and the D first, then back up to the 7th. Let's play this. And then we have this. So that's kind of more of the same. We have the 8th fret there on the D and the G, though. I like to kind of hold it with those fingers, and then maybe the index finger across the 7th fret of the D and the G. 8, 7, and then the same thing on the A and the D string. Let's try this one. So far in the chorus. Repeat. So the second time through, we're gonna have a different ending. So we're gonna stop when we get to those 8 across the A and the D string there, instead of going down to the 7s in the same. When we get to here, we're gonna jump down here to that A power chord and do kind of that same ending we did before at the beginning in the intro. So that's just that 3 hits of 2 on that chord, and then the 6th fret, let that ring, and then that same ending we've seen a few times here. And then we go back into the main riff from there. So the only difference there was those hits at the very end. So before we went, and then it was kind of a more, a longer hold on that first hit. Here it's just 2 hits, and then straight into the verse. So it kind of, they shorten up that ending. But that's really the only difference. Then it goes through the same verse, but this is kind of shortened once again, kind of half as long. And then the pre-chorus again, done the same. So even still has the same. So you gotta keep doing those. Same bar dives in them. And then the chorus again, which is played the same. And then we start getting to the instrumental sections of the song. So this first one, when Kirk comes in with this, that's next. I'm considering that the bridge. Kind of takes us into the solo, right? All right, so what we're gonna do first is we're going to do the chords that are going on underneath that Kirk's part there, and then I'll show you what Kirk's doing, and that sets us up for the solo. So here we go for the bridge chords. Looks like this. All right, so that a little bit different ending there. So we basically have that 3, 2, 1, how we started the song: 3, power chord at 3rd fret, then 2nd fret, dun, 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 and then we have this little 5, 3, 0. Okay, and then we go right back to 3, 2, 1 again. And then we have a more extended ending here. A little bit different than the ends we had before. So this one is gonna, because they want to end it with this chugging here, the 1st fret there. So what they do there is we're gonna play 5, 3, 0. So that's normal, we played that before. But here we're gonna go 6, 3, then 0, not 1, and then get to 1. So it's kind of like it reverses. Instead of going 6, 3, 1, 0, went 6, 3, 0. And then when you get to the 1st fret power chord, you're gonna hit that 7 times, really heavily palmed. So we kind of have this. All right, so that's what James is doing. On top of that, we have Kirk starting to come in with this line that he kind of does here in the bridge, and then he's gonna leave the solo with it, leading into the harmony section. So, but the first time you hear him play it, it looks like this. All right, so that's a fun one. So we're gonna start here with this. So that starts with a slight bend at the 10th fret there on the A string, down to 7, then 5, and then back to 7. Hit it twice. You want to make that first one kind of staccato. And the open E twice. So with this. And then we basically do the same riff, except instead of the 10th fret, we're going to do a slight bend at the 9th fret to start it off. And then a slight bend at the 8th fret. Other than that, the riff was the same. So. All right, now we have this ending, this thing that kind of sets the first ending. Looks like this, which is just 7/5 on the D string over to 7 on the A. So, and then we go back up to the same riff again. And then this second ending leading us into the solo. So that's just going to be 7/5/7 on the A string. And then we're going to slide into the 10th fret on the A string, back down to 7, and then back to that 10, and then 8. So. All right, then we get the Kirk solo. Now, this solo is over the main riff, so it's just James doing. All right, so it's just James doing that until we get to the harmony section there. So now we can just do these solos. So let me play through Kirk's solo for you, and then I'll show you how to play it. Here we go. All right, so that's got some, Kirk's doing a lot of kind of like improvised type, bluesy type stuff in a lot of his solos. So probably won't do this exactly the same way every time. He'll have some of those little, maybe the runs. There's kind of signature licks that he'll do like that. But, a lot of the stuff that's... We'll try to get that exactly like note for note, but that kind of thing is usually kind of an improvised deal. So a lot of very similar things being repeated, so that makes it harder to memorize. But anyway, let's jump into it. We're gonna start with this first little phrase. All right, so we're gonna start with this double stop here at the 12th fret across the G and the B. Hit that a few times. Then over to the 14th fret there on the D string. So from there, you're gonna hit that 14 again on the D, and then the more double stops across the 12 on the G and the B. Then up to 14 on the B and the G. Kind of bend it up a little bit, kind of pull it down. So with this. Then jump back over and grab that 14th fret on the D. So we have this. From there we have this. So that's gonna start with a hammer on from 12 to 14 on the D string. More double stops here, 12th fret on the G and the B. Up to the 14 double stops. bend and release again. Back down to the 12 double stops. So a lot of those double. So we have this. Back over to the 14 there on the D string. Back to the double stops on the 12 on the G. So you get a point here. It's like a lot of little things that are kind of repeated. So it's hard to kind of like memorize the phrases simply because it's, you know, it's a lot of the same stuff, but but they're slightly different. So anyway, just see if we can get from the beginning here. So we went back up 12, 14 on those double stops, and then we did a bend at the 14th fret there on the G string. Now that kind of bend kind of really starts the next lick, so we'll get there again. All right, so once we're at that bend, that's kind of the start of the next phrase. We have this. All right, so again, more of that kind of double stoppy action. Don't try to get that exactly note for note. Don't worry about it. We're going to be doing a bend at the 14th fret on the G string. And then you're going to roll from the high E string, 12th fret, over to 12th fret there on the B. And then we start this little descending lick. And that's just going to be kind of across the E blues scale. Obviously it's D blues, but. So that's going to be pulling off 15 to 12 on the B string, over to 15 on the G, then back to the kind of a little descending 3-note lick. You just keep starting from the next note down the scale. So it's like a little sequence. So we have this 15 to 12 pull off to 15 on the G, then back to 12 on the B string, and then pull off 15, 14 on the G, and then pull off 15, 14, 12 on the G. So now from here he kind of messes around with the. Got it between 14 and 12 on the G and 14 and 12 on the D. So there's kind of, this one's there's not the most distinct licks in the world going on. So it's kind of just doing that, kind of doing a couple pull-offs between 14 and 12 on the G, and then a pull-off between 14 and D, and he kind of repeats that. And then he comes up and grabs the B note here on the 12th fret there, on the high E string, on the B string, and then pull off 14, 12 on the G. So, and then we're going to go back to more into some double stops again. So once again, we're coming. It's easier to kind of see coming out of that lick. So I kind of started that little after I get here. I'm going to do that little hammer off from 12 to 14 on the D again. And then we're going to have some double stops again between 12 and 14 on the G and the B. And then you hear him hit this 15th fret there a couple of times on the B string. And that's kind of set up the next lick. So now we get back to something that's like we can get note for note again. But like I said, these things are there's really no way around it. It's kind of, there's a lot of things, you know, that are just kind of on a whim there. So do what you want with it. But now we get to this. So that lick is going to be sliding from 14 to 16 on the G string, over to 15 on the B, and then back to 16 there on the G. So you repeat that a few times. And then you're going to come down here to the 12th fret, hammer 14, pull back off to 12 there on the G string, over to 14 on the D string. So we had this. And then so that is a descending lick So it's kind of. So that's going down. Well, as a guitar player, we're going to see it as E Dorian, right? But it's actually, since the tuning, it's D Dorian. But we're going to start here. So we're going to start here at the 12 and 14 on the G string. 12, 14, 12, and then shift down to 11. Now, so kind of that last one can be a slide. And then we're going to do the same lick again, but starting with just kind of the new notes, which is going to be 11, 12, 11, slide down to 9. So we could actually go. So pick the first two notes and pull off and slide. That'd probably be more accurate. So anyway, after you get the lick down, we're just going to take it down the scale. Now we're here at the 9th fret, right on the G. And so that's going to be 9, 11, pull off to 9, slide down to 7. Now here we're going to go start the lick again here at the 7th fret. 7, 9, pull off to 7, slide down to 6. That right there is what makes it Dorian. And then we're going to play 6, 7, pull off to 6, slide down to 4. And then we're here at the 4, 4, 6, pull off to 4, and slide down to 2. And then here it just goes 2, 4, pull off to 2, pull off to the open string, and then just a little bit of a bar dive there. So all right, so now after that little bar dive on the open G, we're gonna have this. All right, so more double stops. So we're gonna start, these we can get, these are pretty repetitive. So we're gonna start here with this. So it's kind of the double stops at the 14th fret across the G and the B. Kind of pulled down, of course. Then to the double stops at the 12th fret. Over to 14 on the D string, and then back to those 12 double stops. So he does that a couple times. He goes. So that's just those double stops at 12, 14, 12, over to 14 on the D, and then back to the 12s, and then those double stops again. So we have this. And then here we have the same thing repeated 3 times. So that's just the double stops at the 14th, bent and release. Down to the double stops at the 12th, over to 14 on the D, and then 12 on the double stops again. So we have this. So repeat that lick 3 times. All right, and then we have this little ending leading to this, that kind of riff that we were doing earlier. It looks like this. All right, so we're gonna start here with that bend at the 14th fret. So we kind of came into it like kind of 14 on the D, 12 on the G, and then into that bend at the 14th fret there on the G. So then you're gonna pull off 15, 12 on the B, play 14, 12 on the G, over to 14 on the D, and then back up kind of to 12 on the G, pull off 14 to 12, and then we're gonna work our way down the E blues. So we get this. So that's, when we get to the D string, it's 14, 12, and then 14, 13, 12 on the A. So all together from that bend. And then from here, we get shift down to the 10th fret, and you start that bend, and that's really that riff that we did in the bridge. And he does that a couple times without anything in between. He just does a... All right, so now from here we get to the harmony section. So that's kind of like the beginning of the harmony section. So let me play through the rhythm parts for that first. Obviously, live, James comes and joins in the harmony. I'll talk about who's playing what, and we'll go through all 3 harmony parts. It's not that involved. It's pretty simple. But let's do this. So this is what's going on underneath all that, though. So we have this underneath the harmony section. Right when I went into the... We're going to consider that the beginning of the harmony section, even though he plays that riff a couple times before it goes in the harmony. So here's the whole thing. Here we go. All right, so that's just those same chords we started the song with, 3, 2, 1 power chords. You don't do anything in between it though. You just kind of go 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, just 4 times. So just go through that 3, 2, 1, 4 times, and then you're gonna do it a 5th time, but this 5th time you're gonna be doing kind of 8th note, palm muted rhythm with it. Kind of building up at the end of the harmony section there. And then we have this ending figure, which we have, it's the same thing that ended the bridge, like that. So that's saying 5, 3, 0, and then 6, 3, 0. And then 7 palm muted hits on that, E flat power chord. All right, so now we get to the actual harmony part, what's going on. So like I said, Kirk plays this riff twice. And then he goes into the harmony. So what these harmonies do is the lower harmony is heard, comes in first, all right? So we play that harmony, and then you're gonna hear the middle harmony come in with it, over it. And then you're gonna hear the high harmony come in. So all 3 parts. So the low harmony part plays the entire time, and then the middle comes in on the next one, pass through. And then the 3rd time through, the high harmony line comes in, and the 2 harmony lines underneath it are still going. So they kind of add on. Live, they don't do it obviously like that because they don't have that many guitar players. So Kirk plays the low harmony line when it starts, and he plays it twice with James coming in and playing the middle harmony part the 2nd time through. And then when the high harmony part comes in, Kirk skips and jumps up to that one and plays the high harmony part while James continues the middle one. So they're either playing the low and the middle one together or the middle and the high one together. James is just doing the middle one though. Kirk switches from low to high. So, having said that, I'm gonna play the harmony, each one after the other. So we have to just keep in mind that as these stack on, these go into to the next one, the one that you was previously playing is continuing to go. All right, so here we go. All right, so we're gonna start here with the low harmony part, which Kirk comes in with. So that's gonna be sliding into the 10th fret there on the A string, and then slide back into it again, over to 7 on the A string, sorry, it's an A note, it's a D string. And then you're gonna pick that and then hammer on 7 to 8, back down to 7. So then slide back into the note, then play 7. So slide back into that 7, then play 7, 8, 10. Slide up to 12 there on the D string. Back down to 10, 8. And then we have this 7th fret there on the D string, hammer 8, pull back off to 7, and then play 10, 9 on the A string. All together. And like I said, you're gonna continue with that, then continues going on the recording throughout all the harmony parts. But after this, after hearing this one time, we hear the middle harmony line, which is what James plays live. Looks like this. So that slide into 8 on the D string, and then play 8, 10, then hammer on 10 to 12, back to 10. And then you go 10, 12 on the D string to 8 on the G string, then slide into 12 on the G string, 10, 8, then down to the 7th fret there on the G, hammer on 8, pull back off to 7, then play 8, 7 on the D. So once again, the low harmony line. And then that continues to play while this comes in. Sorry. And the third time we have the high harmony line that comes in, and live Kirk jumps from playing this low one to playing this high one. And James continues playing that one that's in the middle. And then we have this for the high part. And it has this little ending on it. We'll get to that in a second. So the harmony line, sliding into the 12th fret there on the G, and then slide again, 10, 11, hammer 10, 11 on the B string. Then back down to 10, and then play 10, 11, 13, slide to 14, slide to 15, sorry. Then back down to 13, 11, so, and then 10, hammer 11, pull back off to 10, 12, 11 on the G. So with this. And then that little ending we have when there's this. While that's going on, we have this. So that's just going to be 14, 12 on the G string, over to 14 on the D, and then 15, 12 on the G, and 14 on the D, and then into a unison bend. So that's playing the 13th fret there on the high E, and then bending the 16th fret there on the B string up till it sounds, so they match. All right, from there it goes back into the chorus. All right, so out of the chorus, into that main riff, just twice. And then we have this riff. We have a new riff here. So this is kind of really getting to the ending of the song. This is the first time we've heard this riff. My favorite riff of the song as well too. And they made you wait to the last for it. Anyway, really cool vibe to this one. So it looks like this. All right, so that one's very, very cool. So it's kind of like kind of similar to what the riffs Kirk's done earlier in the song a couple times. But what they do here is they put the low E string, obviously it's a D string. They put that in the bass, so they get this drone going on underneath it. It really gives it a cool sound. Anyway, so it's just kind of that. It's just basically that riff, but adding the low E string. So that's with the low E. And that same thing. All right, so out of that, then we get back into the, looks like it goes into the pre-chorus riff, but it just does it 2 times and it goes into the ending. Looks like this. All right, so that's that same pre-chorus riff, just 2 times. Kind of hold that last one, and then that ending, this is the ending that's a little bit different than they ended it. This is kind of like how we did it at the end of the pre-chorus at the beginning of the song. Looks like this. So that's just a 5-3-0 power chord, then 6-3-1, then 0. And that be the end of the song. So another killer one in D standard from Metallica. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you again soon for GuitarLessons365.com.